Hello, my name is Cecila Bonefeld-Dahl. I am the Director General of DigitalEurope. It's an organization that represents around 40,000 digitalizing companies in Europe. And I want to thank Hilary, who's invited me for this great event, and Nokia, who is one of the founders of the Women in Telecommunication and Research Initiative. It's a very important initiative, making sure that women have equal access to funding, research and development, skills, etc., in telecommunication and research. So in many terms, Europe is really the leader of 5G. We have really led 5G and 6G connectivity, and we are home for out of three of the world's biggest telecommunication companies in the world, that of course being Nokia and Ericsson. However, somehow, although we have led the world in both development of 5G and standardization of 5G, we are still really lacking behind in deployment and development. In fact, in 2021, only 60% of the European population, opposed to 93% of the US population, were actually connected with 5G. So how do we learn from that lesson? How do we learn from that lesson when we have to implement 6G? During COVID, we saw that living in the rural areas, you were not able to work, you were not able to go to school, you were maybe not even able to shop because you didn't have enough access to connectivity. So how can we give equal access to connectivity, both for, citizens, for smaller companies across Europe? We have in Europe a very strong industrial base of companies, and we have all the data that needed to really power the fourth industrial revolution. But we don't have the people and we don't have the skills. Only 1 out of 5 ICT specialists are female, or 1 out of 3 researchers in tech are women. And actually only half of the inventors team that are applying for patents are actually male-only teams. At the same time, we are lacking around 200,000 cybersecurity specialists. Every company in Europe tells us that the biggest barriers of growth is digital skills. We actually practice what we preach in Digital Europe, and we have started several programs. One of them is called Women for IT, where we have trained 700 women across 9 countries, and actually 500 of those have found jobs either as cybersecurity specialists or software developers. We're discussing in our research and innovation working group in Digital Europe, how can we change this? Should we actually ask the European Commission, when who applies for this type of funding, that they actually send a gender equality and gender plan? It might be one of the solutions, but first of all, it starts with us. Diversity really works. Let's make sure that the technology of the future is made for women and men and by women and men. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.
It's wonderful to see how much traction women in telecom and research is getting, and I'm delighted that Nokia and all of you are active in this initiative. Diversity drives better outcomes. Diversity of thinking, of ideas, of approaches to problems, and of frankly defining challenges and problems to begin with. There can be no question that the development of standards and deep technology is honestly just dangerous without inclusion of full societal thinking and ideas. Consider how important artificial intelligence is and will become as we move towards 6G, and how powerfully good or dangerous bias can be if we bake it into the metaverse, for example. More than ever, our planet and people need technology to do good, and good can only be defined and understood and implemented collectively. I've just come from an incredibly inspiring day with a cohort of women from Nokia and Deutsche Telekom working together in a leadership program as part of our UN Women Partnership. And the eye-opener for the gentleman that ran design thinking training with the team was the power of empathy. We absolutely need to tap into that as we digitalize virtually everything in the next decades. I was looking at the organization of this broader EuCNC conference, and like so many technical conferences, the steering and tech program committees have 5 to 10 men for every woman. Houston, we have a problem. Indeed, it's one of the main reasons I took my latest assignment in strategy and technology in Nokia, where I lead an extremely technical team and of course, mostly men. I wanted to personally and firsthand try to make change where I can control it. And we can do more with the teams we already have, as well as more to encourage women in engineering. I have two messages. First of all, we can listen more effectively. Actively listen, and you may discover that the woman in your team who you thought was not ambitious really is, and perhaps expresses it differently than the men in your team. And second, let's make engineering sexy. And the way to make it sexy for women is to help them see the societal impact we create. Numerous studies show that although most STEM majors are women today, very few go into engineering because they don't see the impact. They go into life sciences. So let's help them see the impact. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic conference, and let's all be the change we want to see.
People often ask me, why is gender diversity important? Well, there are many reasons, but one very important one is that you miss half the talent pool if we don't have women in tech. That's why I'm very proud that gender diversity is engraved in our vision in the European telecom sector. And we are strong supporters of the European Commission's Digital Decade targets on diversity. Full gender convergence by 2030. But to get there, we don't have much time left in Europe. Let me picture the current gaps in numbers to better illustrate today's status quo. The latest DZ numbers show that only 1 in 5 ICT employees in Europe is a woman. Believe it or not, this is the highest proportion so far. In the telco sector, numbers are also going up, but only 37% of our sector's workforce is represented by women. Europe leads compared to other regions like the US with 34% or Japan with 28%. So digital opportunity is happening, but we all need to make it more inclusive. Today, 5G is no longer a novelty in Europe. 5G networks are available to more than 2/3 of all Europeans. The international community, including members and observers of ETNO, are now developing the standards of 6G and Hexa-X. They will be replaced by 7G standards during the next decade. With the next generation of digital infrastructure will come even more cybersecurity risks. They will get more complex, and Europe needs talent to mitigate them. It is expected by the end of the year there'll be a massive skill shortage gap in Europe. 350,000 cybersecurity jobs will have to be filled if we are to address this gap. What is striking is that in the cybersecurity related jobs in Europe, only 7% of the workforce is represented by women. That is 1 in 14. An inclusive mix of experts need to be involved since the early stages of developing new technologies. This is why we must prepare next generations to have the right digital skills. Better access to digital opportunities in less developed regions, coupled with digital curricula in all primary schools, have a long-term objective. This will equip and inspire more girls and women to follow careers in STEM. They will be the experts of tomorrow. They will further counterbalance the huge gender gap in the ICT sector today. We also need to inspire the younger generation. This is what ECSO and the Women for Cyber do. As a proud ambassador of both initiatives, I invite you to challenge yourselves, your employers, your employees. Don't take digital inclusion for granted. Help Europe by making it happen.
So as a research leader, gender diversity is very important on the team. This is not only about creating equal opportunities and fairness in career for women in technology, but I see truly beneficial outcomes in research. Having diversity in the team gives different perspectives, and hence that's very important for the creative process. I've also witnessed that when women join a research team, that actually the dynamics of that team and the collaboration improves for the better. And I've also observed that as women progress in their career, they're actually stronger than their average equivalent male. And I think that has to do with the fact that women are still in a minority, and hence they have to prove themselves harder to work against the unfortunate subconscious bias. So many positive outcomes by having that diversity of women in research teams. But we actually have a problem, that is the influx of female candidates. And we have a lot of work to do to improve the image of women technology engineers and researchers. I'm actually wearing this T-shirt of Ada Lovelace. She's been a pioneer in computer science, and there's many historical and present-day examples of successful researchers and engineers. And we need to show these examples to inspire the next generation. And I also applaud initiatives like Women in Science and Engineering and STEM initiatives to really show and encourage girls in high schools when they make their choices for going to college and choosing the engineering career track. And in this way, we have a future pool of more diverse talent for our research that is so important.